There it goes.
Okay, I think I've got it. All right, guys. Well, thank you, Dr. B, for the introduction, and we'll keep this pretty casual because I think that what's really fun about this and what I love, Dr. B, about what you've put together is everything is really aligned, and I'm excited to share my story and how it aligns with this because there's going to be a lot of similarities, which I think is really cool, and I love how we can then apply some of these principles to our physical health. So, very much in line with what Dr. B shared and what his entire, universe and community is about. My question to start with for us today is, who are you becoming? And I'm going to share a little bit about my story and how this applies to the fact that I was not living my life with intention whatsoever. And all of you that are here are probably further along than I was in that process when I started. But I think it's important just to take a moment to think about the fact that we are all becoming someone. Whether we are doing it with intention or not is where we really get to choose. And so, who we are becoming really applies to the daily choices and habits that we have. And so, what I think that's really cool about this entire day and the themes that everybody has together. So, we've all probably been there at some point in our life when we tried to make changes in our physical health and the habits didn't stick. Because how many times have we said, I know what to do and I've got this and I'm just going to figure it out on my own? We start really strong. Guess what? We've all probably set some sort of New Year's resolution at some point. And then life happens and life gets busy and we fall off. And then we say, okay, well, I'm just going to start again on Monday, or I'm going to start again next week or next month or whatever it is. This is a cycle that we can really get into. And it's not a knowledge problem. We all know what we should do in order to take care of our physical health or our mental health or whatever it is. But it's not even necessarily a discipline problem because we can't just continue to keep pushing harder and white knuckling it until this thing happens. But it really can come down to an identity problem, which I think is what's really cool about the theme for today, because I think that there's a lot of consistency here. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we apply that to our physical health. Um, and I think that one of the things that is important to remember is starting over keeps happening because under pressure, we don't rise to our goals. We fall back to our identity. We don't say when we're having a bad day and when things are hard and when life is happening, chances are we're not going to just feel like, oh, I'm going to go be my best version of myself today and I'm going to fuel my body really well and I'm going to hydrate and I'm going to go exercise. You might feel more like going to eat a pint of ice cream or going to sit down in front of the TV and just vegging out for a while. So, this is where we start to look at what is our identity in terms of our physical health, because that identity is going to affect our decisions and our defaults and what we fall back to when life happens. But if we create that healthy identity, then we're going to be able to create the healthy habits to support that identity, and it's not the other way around. So I want to talk a little bit about this, in terms of our health. And so if we're thinking about it in the concept of you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your identity, what are some of these things in our current identity? Maybe it's that we're too busy. Maybe we have a real all or nothing mindset when it comes to our physical health. Maybe we're really in a start stop kind of cycle, a start over Monday. I'm just going to fix it then. I'm just going to not worry about this today. I'll do it later um, versus what is our healthy identity. And that may look more like, prioritizing consistency over perfection, being flexible and knowing that there's not going to be a perfect day or a perfect week. So we have to find a way to build flexibility into that so we can still be successful. And at the end of the day, that healthy version of ourselves shows up anyway, even when we don't feel like it, because we know that that's really what's best for ourselves. So just to share a little bit more about me and how do I know about these things? And it's because I lived it. This picture is almost exactly 6 years ago because my son that I was pregnant with there just turned 6 last Sunday. And so this was a few weeks before he was born. And my husband and I had relocated to Pennsylvania with our first son there to be near his family. I had a job with a big global title. I had a boss who would literally do anything within in his power to keep me. we had bought our forever home. We had this sweet little boy with this little chubby cheeks. And so we were living the dream, right? But there was a catch. I was, for all intensive purposes, miserable. And I was probably pretty miserable to be around. Um, I felt completely isolated in our new community. I was working from home and traveling, so I was not connected to the people around me at all. I really felt like I was failing as a mom because nobody told me how this sweet little human would turn my world upside down and didn't give me an instruction manual. My husband and I were coexisting, but we were bickering a lot and going through the motions. I was completely lost in my career and I could not figure out a path forward. I was absolutely living on autopilot and I was checking the boxes. So what did we decide to do? We decided to have another baby because that's what we were supposed to do. That's what society said was the next step. Um, I really was just surviving. I had become someone who was always busy and never fulfilled, somebody who really looked successful, but I was completely disconnected and I was completely lost, and I really had no idea where my life was going. And, because my story starts with a physical transformation, I'll just share that this was a couple months after my baby was born. And I really was at my lowest point in terms of my physical self. And I knew that I needed to make some changes. But what I didn't know at the time was that those changes needed to go a whole lot deeper than, what the number was on the scale or what food I was putting into my mouth. A real turning point in my journey was actually working with Lena, who's one of the speakers here today. And she taught me a lot about our identity. And one of the examples that she uses, because it's such a physical example that we can all understand, is she talks about how a person can lose weight, but they can't keep it off if they remain in the same identity as the person who gained it. And I've borrowed this from her because it is so visual and so impactful and so relatable, because we've all either been that person or seen somebody who has gained and lost a bunch of weight over and over again. And we just don't understand, well, why can't they stick with it? Well, the reason that they can't stick with it is because they're still identifying as the person who gained it. And even though they may or may not like that person, it's still comfortable for them. And so they haven't yet evolved. It's like what Dr. B was talking about with the car. They haven't yet evolved to be the kind of person who drives that type of car. They haven't evolved to be the person who lives in that type of body or that lifestyle, so they can't maintain it. And I talk about James Clear a lot. So Dr. B is going to read Atomic Habits. This is a very impactful book for me. And one of the things that I really share with people is the reason that this is so hard is because if we don't actively choose a better way, then society, culture, and the general inertia of life will push us in a worse way. The default is distraction, not improvement. And that's what happened to me, right? So I was doing the career, I was having the kids, we had the family, I was doing all the things that society says I'm supposed to do, but I was also distracted and unfulfilled and busy, but didn't really have any real purpose in my life because I was not living with intention. Okay, so how can we use AI to help with this? Again, I think this is a theme with some of the conversations today, which I think is great because I think it gives us something that even if we're new to AI, we can say, hey, these are some tools that I can use in a lot of different ways within my life. But we're going to use this to talk, not necessarily to talk about a meal plan, because, someone may say, well, give me a workout plan. That's all I need, or I need a new meal plan. And that's what AI can definitely do, those things. But I want to talk about how we can use it to identify some thought patterns and how we can use it to say, here's the person that I want to become and how do I live as that person. So again, I'm going to go back to James Clear, and he says that, why do we go back to this question of who are you becoming? And what he says is true behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but the only reason that you're going to stick with it is because it becomes part of your identity. So you have to become the person who has that type of activity before you can it's going to stick. Anybody can go to the gym once or twice. That's why they're all busy in January, but then by, middle of January, February, they're empty again because people haven't changed anything other than just trying to start strong at the beginning of the year. So we're going to do a little audit. And if you'd like to do this, great. But we're going to do a little identity audit, and we're going to talk about our current identity around our health. So, what are some habits, thoughts, and patterns around your health? And maybe this is something that you have now, or maybe you've evolved from this. And so maybe it's something that you have what at one point in your life. But take that and put that into Chat GPT or whatever you use, and say, name this person that I am today. So maybe the examples are the busy starter, the all or nothing achiever, the I'm going to start again on Monday person. I have a little example for us. I wrote this with the input that a lot of my clients that I hear from them in the first conversation that I have when they say they're ready to start. And so this is overwhelmed Olivia. She's a strong, caring woman who gives her all to her family and her work. But when it comes to her own health, she feels stuck. She knows what she should do to make better choices, but between busy days and exhaustion, she struggles to follow through. She starts new habits with the best intentions, but when she slips up or doesn't see results fast enough, she quits. The cycle of yo-yo dieting has left her frustrated and drained. Deep down, she wants lasting change, but she doesn't know where to start or how to make it stick. So I'm guessing that at some point we can all relate to some of those things. And these are the types of women that I talk to all the time, because we just live in this cycle, in this world and culture of I'm exhausted and I'm frustrated and I know that I should do things differently, but I just can't figure out how to stick. So this might be a current identity. This might be where somebody is now. But then we're going to also use chat or AI to look at our desired identity. So who is that person? And what does that person do? How do they eat? How do they handle stress? What do they do on their hard days? What is the healthy version of you? And how does he or she show up? What are his or her daily habits? And again, we put that into chat and we ask it to name that version of you. So now we have empowered Olivia. She's a woman who takes control of her health with confidence and ease. She fuels her body with nourishing foods, not just for herself, but to set a positive example for her family. She moves daily because she wants to, knowing it gives her energy to be fully present for her loved ones. She feels comfortable and strong in her body, no longer second guessing herself. When faced with temptations or peer pressure, she stands firm in her choices, knowing she's building a lifestyle that aligns with her goals. At work and at home, she radiates confidence, balance, and strength, showing up as the best version of herself. So once we have this desired identity, and I really do believe that it helps to name that identity. And I tell my clients this all the time, visualize who that person is, visualize how that person acts. And then when you are struggling to find that motivation, go back to that visualization, go back to that identity and say, how does she show up today? How does he show up today? And what is it that I can do today that gets me just one step closer to that person? And I think that that's really important for us to remember, is that you don't just magically one day wake up because you became that person. And when we're talking about this in relation to our physical health, you don't meet that number on the scale that you think is your goal. And then all of a sudden you're a different person than you were, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months before. You become that person by acting like them today in small ways, a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time, so that those things become really just who you are. But you can't overhaul it all at one time. We have to pick one or two small things that we do so that we become that person a little bit at a time. So that's one of my questions for you, is what are one or two habits that person does daily? And how can you start there? So again, in one of our breakout sessions today, it was funny that the habit that someone shared was, I know that I would feel better if I would exercise every day, but she said, I just don't do it. So great. All right. If you're ready to make that change, then where do we start? Can we start with 5 minutes of walking outside or walking on the treadmill, or go stand on the treadmill and be the person that is there, and then get there, and then maybe you'll be able to start a little bit more. What is one thing you can do today to start to show up as that person? And then how can we build on those habits over time? So really, the habit code, that's the theme that we're here for this week, this month. And I think that this is probably not much different than making a habit in any other way. But again, it's about the small actions that we're repeating consistently. And then we're going to build that identity because we're going to prove to ourselves and give ourselves the evidence that we have that behavior. But it's not going to change overnight. It's going to be something that takes time. And we're just going to have to show up a little bit at a time every single day until it becomes more natural. So my story started with a physical transformation. You can't see me except for here. So I have had, a pretty significant physical transformation here. But really, the more important transformation to me is how I see myself and how I know now that I am meant to be here to help others, because I know that there's a lot of other people who are living life the way that I was. And I really feel called to be able to help them make some changes in their life. But it's not easy. And when I got to this goal in September of 2020, I reached this weight. But I felt really foreign in this body, and it felt really uncomfortable to me when people commented on my transformation or complimented me or told me that I was their inspiration. I felt like this was weird. I felt like they were judging me. I felt like they were all of a sudden, scrutinizing every single thing that I ate. But I knew that this was the kind of life that I wanted to continue to live. And I really did feel called to help other people. So I just kept showing up even when it was really, really uncomfortable. And I went back to the idea of if every action is a vote that we're taking for the type of person I want to become, I just have to continue to take small actions so that these things eventually become more comfortable. And, 6 years later, I can confidently say that it is a lot more comfortable, but it didn't happen overnight. I just had to continue to make vote after vote in the category of someone who prioritizes their physical health, because once that part of my life was under control, so many other things fell in place for me. And I realized that I want to be able to help other people do the same thing. And I want to bring as many people along with me as I can, because when others are around you, it becomes a whole lot easier to build that kind of life when you have the positive community. So lastly, if every action is a vote for who you're becoming, I would just challenge you to think a little bit about what kind of person did you vote for this morning? And are you putting yourself in rooms and circles with the type of people that you want to be like? I mean, you're here and this is a great event for high achievers. And so chances are you understand the value of community and why that's important. But I would just challenge you to think about, are you considering how important your physical health is in your own personal development, in your own personal story? Because my experience anyway has been that it really can have a very direct correlation between your physical health and your mental health and your spiritual health. And all of these things are tied together. And we are meant to take care of our bodies, not necessarily in a vain way, but we are meant to take care of our physical beings. And it does matter how we show up for ourselves each day physically and how we're fueling our bodies and how that translates to the rest of our life. So that's what I have. And I can stop sharing. Curious if, Dr. B, I think we maybe have a few more minutes. I don't know where the timer is here for the breakout room. Oh, 8 minutes.
You're muted.
Okay. Oh, you're muted, Dr. B.
There we go. And I
Okay.
listened to all of it. I was just on the other side trying to fix something. So I
No,
got
you're
it all.
fine. You're
Thank
fine.
you.
So we have
Yes.
a few minutes. I guess I'm curious if anybody
Listen,
related to
Wendy,
any of these things.
Wendy is amazing, incredible. She's like a encyclopedia of what she's talking about, because her story is just like my story. And I was listening to her, I spoke to her before, but she's really good and she understands exactly what she's talking about, So if anybody needs help, she have to go to her because she understands exactly how this weight loss thing is. Because weight loss basically is not is a psychological thing. It's not a physical thing. It's the program that you have, like your identity, like you were talking about. So she understands this. I was listening to her and I learned. I understand it, but just to hear her say that, it just give me a peace of mind. She's good. She's really good. And it was a
Thanks.
pleasure listening to you. I learned
Thanks.
so much just listening to you. You know.
Appreciate that. Dr. B, I thought it was funny that you were sharing earlier that you're going to do a Atomic Habits book club, and like these things are all like so related, and shared a few examples of that. So I think that's very
It's all aligned, isn't it?
It's all aligned for sure.
Yeah, but I don't understand this though. This all like attraction stuff. See, I wasn't even meant to come to this show. I mean, like I've been a car the whole time. I've been really busy, but I show up. Maybe I'm supposed to know who she is and to hear her story. So this is not a coincidence, by the way. This is all meant to be.
I know.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just coming to the shows to me, I am meant to be here today.
Hello,
To
Joanna.
talk to her and to talk to you, Dr. Brian. You know? Yeah.
You're right, and that's very much my story has felt like.
Can you see me
Along the way, it felt like it was a whole bunch of coincidences. But now, kind of looking back over the past 5 or 6 years, I realized that it obviously wasn't. Even though I didn't understand at the time where I was going, now I really feel like this is where I'm.
What time will I still start at 2:40?
So.
Yeah, well, most people like when I was going through my weight loss thing, right? I think I lost like 60 pounds or so. You know, you have no idea what I went through, and I told you before I wrote the book about it, and I published the book on Amazon, right? So what I figured out, I had to write in the book, and
So
actually
what happened
that was
is
that was
we
my
are
first
getting
book I
shut off
wrote
for
as a
about 5
result of
minutes,
this
and we
weight
all
loss
came
stuff.
back
You
in.
know what I
So we're
mean?
running a
So
little
every
bit
time I lose
behind.
the weight, I would gain it back
Be
again.
able to
Like
catch
it
this.
was like
We were at,
I do things that cause me
see,
to
we're
gain
at
the weight back. So,
40.
like you were saying about
It
identity change, whilst
is
I reprogram my subconscious
2:10.
mind, I actually wrote an affirmation in
20. We're gonna
imagination.
finish.
Once the program was changed,
Oh yeah,
that
2:20. So
program
we're gonna finish
causes me
this
to do
session in
things to
5
sustain my
minutes.
weight.
We're supposed to end
You know, it was causing me to do stuff. So I didn't
in
have to struggle anymore.
yeah. We're
You
about
know,
5 minutes
and
behind.
I felt like I couldn't
In
keep this
five
to
minutes, we're
myself.
supposed
So I
to
put it
end
in the book. So
at
in my book, I wrote, "You keep struggling to lose
12:16,
weight until you try this
and so it's a
four-step method of
pretty
losing
tough
weight." That's the
weekend
title
for
of my book.
talking.
You know,
Because the
it's
whole
almost a
Zoom
bestseller on
thing
Amazon, by the way. It's a really
kind
big
of
book on
died
Amazon.
out.
It's huge, you know. And the book only that was my
Yeah,
first book.
so
It's only
sorry
four
about that.
chapters.
So yeah, we're about 8 minutes behind. I'll catch some of it up
You
in
know,
the
so your
next
story
portion
and mine is very similar, but I'm actually to
when
hear you say
right
that, like,
after Ron
I'm
goes
so
to roll,
excited to hear you
we
say what you're
start
saying, you know?
everybody
Good.
back in.
Well, I'm glad you're
It's
here.
like an inspiration.
Not too
Yeah,
far behind,
thank
but
you
we're doing
for
all
sharing, you know?
right. Thanks. Do you still want to go
Dr.
to
Thank you
Brian,
so
manufacturing?
much.
can you
Maybe not. If
mute?
it's the end, I'll just say. I'll just hang out for 5 minutes.
That's nice. I don't think he knows about it. He's in mute
I don't
and
think
stuff,
so.
eh?
He's
Yeah,
busy
I don't
with
think so.
putting out fires.
Okay. All right, we'll be right back.
You know, Dr. Brown, we're hearing all your secrets, you know? We're listening to everything you're saying, Dr. Brian.
You were?
You didn't mute your stuff.
Oh, that's right. I didn't. I went to mute when I went over there to tell Joanna. I'm so sorry, guys. Hey. I thought I hit mute, but I didn't hit mute. So you got to hear me talk to somebody else because she was like, "Where am I going to go?" Ay.
I had all your secrets.
Oh, what a day! What a day! What a day! At least I have a story, right? That's
Yeah.
the
Listen,
cool part is
I didn't know this was going to be this good, though.
And here's what's even better is I didn't interrupt you by doing that, Wendy, because you were at the end, and I didn't go over to your session and interrupt it. So, oh gosh. You guys have any questions for Wendy or me, or I'm
Well, I
finished?
mean, when this story is incredible, you know, it's
Yeah,
amazing. Like I told you,
that is.
like I see myself in whatever she went through. So when I understand it, I clearly understand it. You know, just hearing telling her stories like me, what I went through. You know what I mean? So it's quite incredible. You know what I mean? So I'm like I said to her, I'm very happy to be here today. I didn't want to come to this show. There's no way you want to cut me. Usually you're gonna see me at home, my books behind my back, but I'm in a car. You know what I mean? So I feel like I was meant to be here. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Hey, make
Yeah,
sure you get into the community at some point, and that where you get all the recordings of all these sessions and all the ones that you missed, and that will be. I mean, because there's been some really good talks today, and
yeah,
so
I'm impressed. I'm
yeah.
impressed. I didn't know it was gonna be this good.
Oh, good.
You
Good,
got
good,
me.
good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Well, we got two
So what's the
minutes
next?
left. If you guys want to come back to the main room, you can, or you can ask Wendy more questions, or Wendy, if you have any other AI prompts or things that you use that might be able to help us, that you might want to share with us. Or...
Yeah, that's a good question. I do think it's interesting, you know, in the world of AI in relation to that. I mean, you can very easily, when it comes to your weight and activity and things, put in there, okay, here's what I weigh, here's what I want to do, give me a meal plan, give me this, give me that, tell me how much I need to exercise, and it can give you all those answers. But it can't help you stay accountable. It can't check in on you. It can't talk you through a bad day. Well, maybe it can talk you through a bad day, but it can't proactively give you a call and say, how's it going? I haven't seen you show up for a while. So I think there's absolutely uses for it. And there's ways that it can help us simplify information and make it easier in this space as well. But it can't help you with that accountability. It can't help you with that personal touch of, you know, I'm going to be your support person that's going to help you, you know, get out of bed when you don't want to anymore.
Oh yeah. Well, I could give a really we got about another really cool example. I coach track, and I've been coaching track for 38 years, and I've coached 7 Olympians and some high school champions. And I got a kid right now who is going to be a 7-foot high jumper here, and I'm going to go see him today. But when I have AI, I had AI make me some workouts for this season for him based on him and everything else. But we show up to the track. He's different today than AI knows he is. And I can't step in. I can see him leaning to one side or to the other side. I mean, I could put that into the AI, but it's not going to know how he's feeling today.
Yeah.
And especially with something with muscles and feeling and exercise like that, when people show up, they don't show up like the AI thinks they're going to. There's no way it could know. And so maybe they can lift as much today. Maybe they can't lift as much today. Maybe they can walk as far. So you're so right. It can give you a workout. It can give you a meal, but you might throw up the meal, right? So now what is the AI going to do?
Yeah.
The whole team that you guys have is about habit, right? You know, I mean, the thing is that. Okay. Is that
You
it's
can
finished?
use the AI to create an app that'll track all that stuff for you.
You can,
Of
but
course.
you still got to put it in there. And then you
Yeah.
still got to put the right things in your mouth, or it doesn't even matter.
The whole show is about habit. It was you just have to create a good habit, right? And stay consistent. Like you were saying, you have to do little by little, and it becomes a habit. The habit will take over your life, right?
Yep.
Consistency, you know. I learn a lot coming to this show, by the way, and I'm super impressed. I'm saying over and over because I'm very impressed with what I see. You know, you put together a group of amazing people to do your show today. You know, I'm happy to be here. You know what I
I
mean?
love it. So thankful
It's
you're here. I think we're
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
1 second.
You're muted, Clary.
Yeah. All right. Good. We have a few minute break for you guys. Maybe it's supposed to be 5. Maybe we'll take 3 or 4 because we had the interruption, and then we'll be right back. It'll come start back. You'll know because the video will start, and then we'll jump into Ron's story. So yeah, just start it right about there. Good. We'll get 4 minutes.